Nobody will help if you find too close to the sun, 'cause you're gonna get burned. Yeah, you're gonna get burned.
You could say misconception. I say miserable cunt.
Welcome to Two Chicks One Pod. Today we're gonna introduce Mr.Doughnut. We're just gonna call this person like that. Mr.Doughnut.
But I like donuts.
Not anymore. Not after today. This time in particular involves me and my partner, at least the first half of it, just because it was mental, all that happened. We're gonna start by saying that Mr.Doughnut worked at McDonald's for a long time. Long time. All that he's done was basically like bitching about people behind their back all the time. And when I first started working there, he tried to look all nicey, oh my god, I'm your friend.
Obviously.
And he does that with everyone. But at that time, my boyfriend was already working there. So he knew him already and they were not getting along so well. My first memory is him being like, obviously trying to be my friend. And at first I fell for it because I was like, oh, I'm gonna get a friend, because at first I was working in dining area. So it was a really lonely job.
I didn't know you started in dining here. Okay.
But yeah, it was a really lonely job. So for me, it was like kind of good that someone was trying to talk to me. Also because my English wasn't that good. So for me, that was also a chance to improve a little bit, to learn. But soon enough, I realized Mr.Doughnut was a really fake person. Really fake. When other people started noticing that we were kind of like getting closer, becoming more like friends, they said, obviously, be careful because it's not what he looks like. And at first I was like, oh, it must be the usual like jealous people that they always like talk shit. Because at that point I still didn't know that my boyfriend and Mr.Doughnut were not getting along. So I was coming back home just saying like, oh, Mr.Doughnut spoke to me today. And he was like, oh, really? And since my boyfriend and Mr.Doughnut used to work overnights together, they would spend like a long time together. And so my boyfriend kind of knew him a little bit more. And he tried to tell me, like, just be careful, like so many other people at McDonald's. And I realized that he wasn't, can I say, who he was trying to show me.
He was putting on a front.
Yeah, we can say that. And everything started showing his true colors during COVID. So we came back after COVID. The store was like in a little bit of like a weird situation. Like customers were not allowed in.
And that's when I became a crew member out of thin air. Because this is all imaginary.
Just like that.
Yeah, it's all imaginary. So
Exactly. Oh yeah. I need to remember that. All that we're gonna say in this podcast might not reflect the truth. We're just saying stuff. So please don't sue us. After COVID, we came back. We had to respect like the social distancing rules. So inside the shop, just like a certain numbers of, like we were allowed just a certain amount of crew members at time.
Yeah, I think so.
It couldn't be like more than, I don't know, like 6 or 7 people. Like we had like screens dividing us.
Yeah.
And we had face masks. Anyway, after COVID, we came back to work, and that's when I decided to go and visit my family, because it was a long time. It just made me laugh. That's when I decided to go and visit my family. Italy was still like, oh my god, COVID, big thing. So obviously, like, you had to self-isolate before, you had to self-isolate after, take tests, blah blah blah. So when I came back, I was self-isolating because Vlad, my boyfriend, was still going to work, so we couldn't sleep in
Name
the
drop.
same. Huh?
Name drop.
Well, that's fine. That's okay. He's not gonna sue us.
Are you sure?
Are you gonna sue us? Oh no, sorry, it's the cameraman now. We were sleeping in separate rooms, and all I received at some point when I was self-isolating, it was a text message from the business manager asking,
When are you back? We need stuff.
no, it wasn't even that. It was even like more stupid because he thought it was that stupid to not realize what he was trying to ask me. So it was like, "Oh, how are you?" And I'm like, "I'm fine. I'm self-isolating, so I'm a bit bored, but everything is fine." And he was like, "How's your family?" And at that point, I went back in Italy because like my grandfather was really ill. So my parents were like, "You better get back now because we don't know like how long for how long he's gonna last." So I went back, and my business manager knew the reason why I had to go. So he asked me, "How's your grandfather?" I'm like, "Oh, not that good." Blah blah blah. He went on and asked me like, "Are you self isolating?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I was like, "So you're asking me why?" And he said like, "Oh no, just to make sure you're doing things properly." That was it. Only to find out from my boyfriend that he, I think, received like he had to be in a meeting with like the store manager or something like that because like apparently Mr. Doughnut, yeah, the rage, the rage
Get
is
the
rising.
boxing gloves out.
Mr. Doughnut said that he didn't feel safe working with my boyfriend because like we come from Italy, and in Italy there's lots of COVID. Yeah, that was the whole thing. He didn't feel safe coming at work. So obviously HR had to phone our business manager saying like, "By the way, one of your employees doesn't feel safe working with another one of your employees, so please investigate that." When my boyfriend came back home and he told me like, "By the way, apparently we got kind of reported for not doing things safely because like you've been in Italy and Italy there's lots of COVID." And I was like, "Yeah, but everybody knows that I'm self-isolating, so what's the problem?" And also we're all wearing face masks and stuff like that, so I don't really see the issue. Until I asked who said that, and he comes up saying like Mr. Doughnut. And oh my god, the rage, the rage. So I picked up my phone right away and I texted Mr. Doughnut, and I was like, "What the fuck are you going, like, why are you saying this? Why? When you know that I'm self-isolating. I'm not coming back to work for another like 10 days. I think it was 14 days altogether. I'm not getting paid, so what do you want?" And he's like, "Well, you live together. How am I meant to know that you're doing things properly?" And I was like, "Well, you can, but you just need to trust the process. Who tells me that you're not being in contact with someone with COVID?" And he said like, "Yeah, but I didn't know because like you and your boyfriend live together, so who knows, you might bring COVID back." And I'm like, "You know that I had to get tested before to get on the flight." And he kept saying that like he didn't know, blah blah blah. And I was like, "Well, next time ask me and be like, how's it going? All good, blah blah blah." No. He just decided to phone HR.
The fuck?
But that is like the smallest thing that happened. Because like McDonald's, we said it before, gossip, drama, blah blah blah. So something else happened. From that moment, I started to be like a little bit more distant from Mr. Doughnut. Was it Mr. Doughnut? Yeah. Don't laugh at Mr. Doughnut. It's a serious topic. Anyway, after that, I started to, be a little bit more distant, not really talking to him, until someone else comes in action. I need to find the name.
Yeah.
A cucumber. Mr. Cucumber. That's gonna be the name. Mr. Cucumber. He was a like real cunt. Like the true meaning of that word, that was Mr. Cucumber. We're just making a whole salad.
Can the next one be Mr. like Peach or Mr.
No.
Cherry?
He's gonna be called Mr. Meatball.
Meatball.
We're just making a full menu. So anyway,
Star
Mr. Cucumber. Mr. Cucumber, he was horrible. He was just horrible. A horrible person. But that's it. Like, you know, when someone is horrible, you just stay away from it.
You can't really when you work with them.
Yeah, but you can just ignore them, right? No. With him, you can. Because Mr. Cucumber
No.
would just keep coming back to bother me.
Wait,
Every
who's
single day.
Mr. Cucumber?
Yeah, because it's Mr. Cucumber, like, part of this new story.
Who's Mr. Cucumber? Oh,
I'm about to drop the bomb.
That's why you called him Mr. Cucumber.
He looks like a cucumber.
I get it now.
That's what- yeah.
I didn't catch on to that
He
at
looks
all.
like a cucumber.
I was too focused on the Mr. Cucumber.
We're back on track. So, Mr. Cucumber just couldn't stay away from us. All he loved to do was be annoying. All day, every day, all night. Doesn't matter. He just loved being annoying. He had a problem with my boyfriend, but why? This is where Mr. Doughnut comes in action. Since Mr. Doughnut and my cat is still in there. She's like, no, I'm still hiding.
I don't know what's happening.
All I can see is lights. Oh, by the way, before I carry on with the story,
Oh, yeah.
can you see the TC1P?
And then
two
two
chickens.
chickens.
Let us know, please.
We want a sign like this, so we kind of tried to recreate to give an idea of what we want, but
This is DIY.
we need to find someone that can make it for us. So if you
Because
can make this for us, then comment down below.
please.
Because this is terrible.
No,
It's art. It's coming up now.
there's tape holding it.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
It was a try.
It's like clear tape. So nobody can see it.
It took us about 20 minutes.
Well, I would say a little bit longer. 20 minutes just to make this chicken. Because, like, what happened is just, like, we made randomly that chicken. And we didn't realize it was a chicken. Yeah, Mr. Cameraman said it looks like a chicken. So we say, like, what? Bleh.
I
Bleh.
really spat on you.
Anyway, I have a cramp.
You just wheezed.
That's fine. My God. Honestly, these people, So. Mr. Cameraman is laughing at us. So, anyway, you know what? I'll carry on with the story. Just keep laughing. So, after we made this chicken, thinking it will look like that one, but now for me, this one look. See those white birds?
The swans.
No, the one he just free up like.
The pigeon.
No, they're like
Oh,
white.
doves. Doves.
Those ones. This one looks more like what? That one. These are like, see? The wings. This is.
I needed tissue.
Honestly. Let us know if you can see the TS. Well, that's it. Let's leave it. Let's leave it.
What do you call it in the theater when there's like a halfway point and they give you a break?
A break.
Like an interval or something. I don't know, but I need one of those.
Let's call it break. We're not that sophisticated.
Okay, continue.
This will go on the bloopers. Anyway.
I'm sorry. Tell your story.
Yeah. I will try. So basically, we were Mr. Cucumber, right? That hated my boyfriend and me. Oh yeah, the reason why he hated us, it was because Mr. Donut. So Mr. Donut put inside Mr. Cucumber's head the idea
Put
to
that
say
cucumber, put it inside donut.
what, we're going downhill. So Mr. I need to remember now. Mr. Cucumber. No, Mr. Donut put inside Mr. Cucumber's head the idea to just say something really stupid. Now, I don't know if we're gonna get banned or something for saying that. But like out of nowhere, Mr. Cucumber goes to the business manager. Was the business manager? Well, it was one of the managers anyway. And said that my boyfriend was a child predator. I guess people are gonna know what I'm meaning. Just try not to laugh.
A pedophile. You can bleep part of that.
Just a phone.
You can leave the put an aisle.
Yeah. The P aisle.
The P aisle.
Is that any nicer way to say it?
Someone that's overly interested in children.
Well, yeah. He decided to drop that bomb with the store manager, I think it was, or anyway, one of the managers. And obviously, when such a big accusation is brought up, they need to do something. So they need to do an investigation or something, because obviously they can't employ someone like that. Especially if you consider that McDonald's is like a family-friendly environment.
For the most part.
What happens after? We just get a letter saying that he was called for an investigation, and we didn't even know why. Because the store manager was like, oh, I can't tell you why, I can't tell you why. And we're like, well, you're just about to start an investigation, so I would love to know why. But at this point, we didn't know that Mr. Cucumber had the idea in his head because of Mr. Donut. We just didn't know anything. We just knew that he had to go for an investigation. So we go for a first investigation just with our store manager. I had to be a witness because you usually need a witness in this kind of things. And he just says, oh yeah, you're being investigated because you've been accused of being a pedophile. And obviously we're like, what do you mean? And he said that Mr. Cucumber went to him and said that he was concerned because, listen to this.
Intermission. The thing in the middle of a theater, it's called an intermission.
That's it, we got it.
Sorry.
I thought it was something related to that. I was like, yeah, say it. And no, it wasn't.
It popped into my head when you looked at me. You gave me
I
knowledge.
make you think of a break.
What were you asking me?
I can't remember.
Well, I'll remember in like 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Yes. So, what Mr. Cucumber said, that he doesn't feel comfortable working with my boyfriend because he, probably for this reason, I might get like reported or something, because I don't know if I can say this, because apparently it's his private stuff.
But it's not real.
Yeah,
You made it all up
exactly.
from your dream last night. It
Exactly.
was really detailed.
I just dreamt it.
I got really angry.
I just said, I need to say it. He said that, so the thought that my boyfriend is a child predator makes him suffer even more because he can't have children or something like that. I don't know those lines. It doesn't really make sense. I still got that
The
letter.
dream was a little blurry at that
Yeah.
point.
We were like, what? Like, how did this whole story came up? And he made a whole like story around it.
Mhm.
And he said, oh, because during that overnight, like 2 years ago.
You just spat.
That's fine.
You just went,
It just shows how mad I am right now. Still.
Also, at this point, I was working there and I knew of this happening. I didn't think anything of it. Like, I had heard there was something going on and there was like drama, and I was on late, so I came across your
Yeah.
partner on shifts, but and I barely really saw you guys, and so I never even thought anything of it. I also didn't know that they were together. So to me, I was
because
just
we
like,
acted really like we were not together because we're like, this is work, so we're just two separate people. This is why, like, I always stated the fact that people that had issues with him always like would bring all of these issues on me when I was kind of nice. I never had any issues with people, and like the main problem that they had with him, it was the fact that he just didn't care about anyone, which at McDonald's is an issue because you
get
need to
the
be there.
dough. You
Literally,
need to be there for the gossip.
that's it. He asked explanation like how all of this came up, and he said that during an overnight, like 2 years prior, he said that my boyfriend said that he touched a child.
That's an interesting thing to admit. Hey, just so you know, I actually touch children in my spare time.
But the whole story was really weird because I'm just gonna put this out right away because after it's gonna sound like what the fuck were they talking about? Were they talking about it was him? We're gonna bleep this name. Was in that overnight. Mr. Cucumber, my boyfriend, and someone else. The manager that night was part of that conversation. They were just talking about like girlfriends or like boyfriends that they had when they were younger. We're talking about when they were like 3. And they had, oh, I had a little girlfriend. And that's when my boyfriend said, oh, this is when I realized I actually just like girls. Because I think they were talking about also like who likes boys and stuff like that. So this was the actual conversation.
The weird stuff that goes on at nighttime, basically.
Yeah, the usual stuff.
Yeah.
And so he transformed this whole conversation and said that my boyfriend touched a child. So we were like, well, at that point we said that is not true. This was the real conversation. And the business manager decided that it was like, oh no, I'm not competent enough to decide what to do with you. Because obviously one side he had someone say that
it was 1v1.
Exactly. It was like 2 point of view, completely different. So it was like, let's get a third store manager, like a second store manager, an outside person, just to decide what to do. And we went to another store to carry on with this investigation. They phoned the manager that was there that night, and thank fuck, our savior remembered everything about that conversation. He said, no, that never took place in that way. We were actually just talking about stupid stuff. And I don't remember Vlad saying anything like that. So,
which is something you remember.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it would just, and obviously at that point, Mr. Cucumber was really mad because he was like, oh, why they're not believing me?
Because it's not true. Maybe. Just
he said that they should phone because this investigations, like he also went to the other store manager because he had to give a side. And he said, oh no, you should phone the store manager during that time, who was another store manager.
There's going to be so many bleeps in this.
Exactly. That's fine.
Sauce, bro.
Maybe it's a bra.
Sauce, bro.
Mr. Cucumber said that he reported this conversation to that store manager. But obviously, if that was the case, she would have remembered and she would have done something about it, which never happened. The store manager that was conducting the investigation phoned the other one and said, what happened? Do you remember about anything? And she said, no, nobody ever told me anything about it, or I would have done something. So he asked, my boyfriend was like, what was the conversation about? And he explained it was actually a stupid conversation. So he matched the story that the manager that was there that night was saying. So they were like, okay, so Mr. Cucumber is lying. Obviously, he said like, oh, these are not kind of conversation you should have in the workplace. They were like, what do you want to do in overnight? Just be quiet? Like, what do you want to talk about? Me so just boring. Cooking nuggets? Like,
what are you doing? I'm just cooking some nuggets.
Literally for 9 hours straight. And that was it. Everything was fine.
Do an ice cream break.
I loved ice cream rings. It was like right before the ice cream machine shut off, and you were like, "Get ice cream."
1 o'clock.
For me, it was before 2. I'd be like, if I noticed the time, whoever was up there, I'd headset them, pour me an ice cream, quick! It's about to turn off!
We went back to our store. Everything was fine. Investigation closed. Everything was a lie, obviously. And we were trying to understand how the whole thing came up. And I can't exactly remember how, but I think
Did you like speak to Mr. Cucumber and ask him where
no,
he heard it?
because I was scared. He was scary.
Because he was a cucumber, like, tall.
And I think it was. Let's find the name. What name did I say for him?
We're scared of cucumbers on this channel.
No, we're not.
Donut?
No, the other one.
Duck?
No,
Cucumber?
no, I said something else.
Meatballs? But who was that? You didn't get... Hey, that's fitting. Meatball.
So at that point, I got quite close with Mr. Meatball. And Meatball decided to admit that Mr.Doughnut said to Mr. Cucumber that he should say that to a store manager so he would get my boyfriend sacked. At that point, I was like,
Honey.
Leah, the whole episode, she would just make sounds. She would just be like,
I'm just giving it a little bit of comedy. Keep it lighthearted.
because all my rage
It's got
is
a
just
balance.
too much.
I need to
Oh, I
balance
just
it
touched
out.
the mic. Sorry.
Sorry, little guy.
So I said that Mr. Meatball said to me that Mr. Doughnut said to Mr. Cucumber to say that. This is a really complicated story. So at that point, I was like, aha,
Honey.
Mr. Doughnut again. I was raging because I was like, that's not a really, like, my boyfriend just couldn't care less. He was like, as long as it's done. Like, I know I never done something like that, so who cares? Like, always. But I just prefer to keep things professional and be like, see what? Let's leave it like that. Stop laughing because you make me laugh. Well,
Mr. Cucumber and Mr. Beeball to this to Mr. Donut and then Mr. Cucumber.
well, it's just because I can't say names, and I need to give like names, or people would understand like who I'm talking about. Anyway,
My cheeks.
everything like goes on. Our life goes on, and one night I found myself doing an overnight with Mr. Cucumber, scary Mr. Cucumber, really scary that night. And
I just picture Slenderman.
but we need to mention Mr. Donut and Mr. Meatball were there, waiting, I don't know for what, but they were just standing there in the area. Until Mr. Cucumber comes up to me and saying like, how's your boyfriend? And I thought he was trying to be nice at first. And I was like, maybe
Then
he
she
had a
squared up
change
to
of
him
heart.
like,
Maybe he had a change of heart. Maybe he realized that we did nothing wrong. But guess what? He never. So he starts saying, "Oh," I said, "Oh, he's really good, blah blah blah," and he was like, "I don't know how you can just be with a child predator. Your boyfriend is a rapist and all that kind of stuff." And I was like, "Here we go. Now I need to fight." So at that point, I was still like,
take hold my hoops.
At that point, I was still trying to be calm and be like, just leave me alone, please. Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Didn't work. He just
Nope.
kept going and going. Leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Uh-oh.
Did you just spell your drink?
Almost. I just said bloop. I was like, uh-oh. He just kept going on and on and on and on until I decided to react. And I was like, shut the fuck up. And he was like, what did you say to me? And I was like, just shut up. Just stop it. I was like, just leave me alone. And he was like, oh, you disgusting Italians, just go back to your country. You can't even speak English. Just go back to your country. You bring us COVID. Like, all that kind of stuff. Oh, you're a bitch, blah, blah. And I was like, okay.
Fun fact, my boyfriend's not Italian.
Just saying. I was...
Not my boyfriend, her boyfriend.
Our boyfriend. It's too much. Anyway. God. Oh, well, I
We're
started...
saying get back to your country.
Yeah, well, all that racist stuff. At that point, I remember I was calm until he said something. I can't remember if it was like, oh, you dirty Italian or something like that. And I started screaming back. Like, not tomorrow. And he was backing up in kitchen. And I was screaming louder and louder until the manager came. And he was like, what's happening here? And I was like, this cunt is just keep calling me like dirty Italian. You need to go back to your country, blah, blah. Your boyfriend is a rapist, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, well, you guys need to take a break. Just like go in separate areas of the store and I'll sort it. At this point, fucking Mr. Cucumber said that I was being aggressive.
You're so aggressive, Val.
I am.
You need to
right
pipe
now.
it. Like, I'm scared for my life.
And he reported me for being aggressive and abusive on the workplace. And still to this day...
And we begin the circle again.
No. I said that Mr. Doughnut and Mr. Meatball were on their break, but they were not because I remember them being on the floor and witnessing the whole thing. And obviously...
The lies. The
Yeah.
slander.
The rage. So they witnessed them all. They witnessed the whole thing. And in the meantime, the manager was taking a Mr. Cucumber statement saying that I was being abusive, blah, blah. And all I have is like a letter handed to me saying that like I can't stay at work because I've been reported for being aggressive and abusive.
You've been served.
At that point, my rage was like next level. So I went to Mr. Doughnut and Mr. Meatball to say like, you guys witnessed what happened, so just say something. And they were like, no, we never heard anything. And I went back home. I was raging. I had to go through an investigation too because I was being abusive. Really
And
abusive.
aggressive.
Yeah.
You're quite an aggressive person.
But anyway, also that obviously the store manager knew that Mr. Cucumber was a bit of like not right in the head. Was like, okay, let's put up a plan in which you and Mr. Cucumber are not gonna work together anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So Mr. Cucumber got really bored and decided one day to not leave in time because his shift would finish right before my boyfriend was coming in for the overnight. And what did he do? He stayed longer. Went to my boyfriend, and while he was walking towards the front counter, Mr. Cucumber was walking behind him and starts saying, oh, you dirty, like, Italian, blah, 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 you're a bully, you're a rapist. And at that point, my boyfriend just turns around and he starts shouting, fuck off, in front of all the customers, in front of all the managers. But I would say, rightfully so.
Yeah.
I would have done the same.
I would turn around and knocked him out. Backhand.
And at that point, my boyfriend goes in home because apparently he was not meant to shout in front of customer, which fair enough. But if only people were to actually understand what happened, probably they would be like, I guess you were right.
Fair dues.
At that point, obviously the manager that was in shift, he was like, I understand what happened, I believe you, but it's better if you go home. So you just calm down and another day of work just missed because of fucking Mr. Cucumber.
You're getting very emotional.
Yeah. I just hate them. After that, Mr. Cucumber left because he got really bored. He never met us again in work because like they tried to keep us separate. Everything was fine, but Mr. Donut stayed there with Mr. Meatball. So, yeah.
Not anymore.
Well, yeah. But at that point, I think I got really close to Mr. Meatball. Even though, like, because he was a really nice person. He is a really nice person.
Just goofy, lovable.
Exactly. There's a goofy, lovable Meatball.
Mr. Meatball.
And so what I tried to do is like try to make him understand that Mr. Donut was being too
Much of a miserable cunt.
probably. And I was like, you deserve better. Just like detach yourself from this person. Just do better. Leave him alone.
Do better.
Just be better. We can get to nowadays.
For me, I became close with Mr. Meatball. Not as close with.
We can also later on tell that story about Mr. Meatball promotion party and what Mr. Donut done.
Oh, god damn. Yeah, anyway. Mr. Meatball and me became friends. This was before even we were friends. I think I got on with Mr. Meatball.
Yeah, because he's a really like people person. He
Yeah.
gets on with everyone. He doesn't really have issues, as far as I know.
No,
Everybody loves
we
him.
were all good. We would get in those fits of laughter where you'd literally me before tears, like tears.
Yes.
Whereas Mr. Donut, like I was fine.
Well, you have much to say about you.
He had much to say about me. I don't know. I don't think I came across any issues that I can remember at the moment with Mr. Donut. In terms of like to me personally, to my face, and like that.
Mm.
But do I know?
Oh,
about
he
what
would. You would never have problem with Mr. Donut, like directly.
Yeah, because
He
wouldn't
would never
confront-
like say. Yeah, it was like just talking behind people's backs.
That
So
makes sense.
you wouldn't really have any issue with him because like he would just be like, I never said that. It wasn't me saying it.
What was he? Do I know what he was saying about me? Probably.
Well, I would think so.
Like, what was
Well, he had the usual like misconception about Leah doesn't do anything. Why does she get away with so much stuff and I always get battered for everything?
it? Oh yeah. Like, excuse me.
And I thought you knew this stuff.
I think I did. I just can't remember. It was a while
And
ago.
obviously, you always had stuff to say about everyone. So I bet you also said stuff about me, but I just probably don't know.
I know. I've got mine
And-
like a goldfish. I'll just out here like.
The thing is that with him, you would never have like an actual issue.
Yeah, no, not to the face. I feel like I'm forgetting something about him, but
Well,
we can go on to say about
the story of the party.
yeah. Oh,
So that was like
this
I
was
think I never saw Leah
cruel.
so annoyed in my life. Because like so
it didn't
we
even have to do with me either, but I was
But
just so
it's-
angry at the situation.
for Mr. Meatball because we were like
Because
he's
at
such
this point we were close,
yeah.
and we were both close with Mr. Meatball, and so this was something done to Mr. Meatball.
Yeah.
So I got quite riled up about. Because I had conversations with Mr. Meatball about this as it was happening.
yeah.
But the basics of the story was it was Mr. This is so confusing. It was Mr. Meatball's birthday coming up, and
Was his birthday
who-
or his promotion party?
I thought
No, I think
It
it
was
was his birthday.
birthday. It was his
yeah.
birthday. His birthday was coming up, and was Mr. Donut planning it, or was Mr. Meatball planning it?
So the thing is like Mr. Meatball always had the thing like I'm gonna plan everything also for himself.
Yeah.
And at that point, Mr. Donut said like, oh, I'll do something. I'll start
I'll
inviting
organi-
people.
Yeah, kind of put it together in a way. He knew what was going on, and he like said who you'd wanted there.
Yeah. And he said, in particular, I don't want this person.
Like, that's my hair. I'm just attached to you.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Yeah, there's a particular person that we'll call him Stench.
Stinky.
Meatball didn't want Mr. Stank at his birthday bash. It was like a karaoke room thingy bajiggy, you know.
That one.
And there was me, Val, another few people that he was like, yeah, like these people, let's go, let's have fun. And I was walking home from work with me, my flatmate at the time, and Mr. Meatball. And Mr. Meatball was telling us about the plans, and he was like, tell me you're going, like,
Yeah.
you need to be there, this is what's going on. And he was telling us about how he didn't want Mr. Stank there, but Mr. Doughnut wanted Mr. Stank there. Mr. Meatball was like, I don't want him there, but Mr. Doughnut wants him there, so should I just let him come? And me and my flatmate at the time were like, no, it's your birthday. If you don't want someone there, you don't need to have someone there. It's completely your choice. Like, if my flatmate at the time was and still is a close one of my friends, and I was like, if she invited someone that I wasn't a fan of to my birthday, I would be livid. Like, livid. Like, that's so unfair. It's your day. Like, it should be up to you. You shouldn't have someone there that's going to ruin your night, especially when not a lot of us had good experiences with this person. So it wouldn't have only ruined his night. It would have ruined his friend's night, which might have just made the night kind of go a bit down. And so we had made a plan. No, actually, I think we had left the conversation there, and we were like, look, you tell him no. Like, say you don't want him there. And we had another encounter with him when he told us that Mr. Doughnut had invited Mr. Stank and already told him about it or something. Is that correct? Yeah, he had just kind of done it.
Yeah, he just invited
Mr. Stank
to that party, and
without
like, even checking in with Mr. Meatball first.
Yeah, he had already done
but
it.
This is my friend. And Mr. Meatball was like, okay, fair enough, but like, it's not my friend.
Yeah. And then, so that happened anyway. So me, my flatmate at the time, and Mr. Meatball made a plan that we would have prees. So we'd go to like a pub or something beforehand and have a bit of time, like, without Mr. Stank and whoever else. We would just enjoy ourselves, and then we'd go to the karaoke, and it's 1 hour, 2 hours, and just deal with Mr. Stank. And yeah, but at least we would have a bit of the day without him, and he didn't.
No.
But then, so we'd made this plan, and we were like, do not tell Mr. Doughnut about it beforehand, because he'll tell Mr. Stank. But we were going to the prees at a pub, and we rock up, and who's sat at the table? Mr. Flippin' Stank. And me and my flatmate look at Mr. Meatball kind of like,
excuse me?
And he was kind of like, he'll tell us after. And then, so we were talking to him outside, and Mr. Meatball was like, yeah, so obviously didn't he tell Mr. Doughnut like that morning?
Yeah, but he said, don't tell them.
Don't
that
tell
we're going
Mr.
there.
Stank, because we want it just us. And then Mr. fucking Doughnut goes and
First
tells
thing
Mr.
he does.
Stank.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, by the way, we're having prees at this pub. Meet us there. Great. It's in a couple hours. And goes straight and tells them. And I don't think he even warned Mr. Meatball about it. He just...
No, he didn't.
He didn't
He
even
just
tell
invited,
me.
yeah.
So then when they went, he was just there, and Mr. Meatball was like, what the heck? So he was there for the entire thing. And then, obviously, so Mr. Stank stayed with us after the karaoke and wanted to go out with us after. And Mr. fucking, what's his face, Doughnut, goes home because he doesn't want to go out drinking.
Yeah, he doesn't
And we're
like to go
like,
to clubs and
so
things
you
like
invite your damn friend to all of our friends' birthday, and then you ditch us and leave us with this person that we didn't want to be with from the beginning. Like,
that. Now she's so worked up one. He's like, we don't want him there.
I just burst the pillow. But like, it's just...
They're getting scared.
Sorry, guys. You don't need to see. But it was just so annoying. Like, because you could tell that he didn't want him there. And, like,
Yeah.
he had expressed it multiple times. And this person that, like, Mr. Doughnut and Mr. Meatball have been so close for
Years.
donkeys of years. Like, donkeys of years. And he went and done this to him and then ditched and left.
And to us too, because after we had to deal with that person.
Yeah, we didn't.
Because like Mr. Meatball was like gone.
Yeah, he
was too drunk to just deal with anything.
Yeah, he was so drunk. And so then it was us. And like this person, Mr. Stank, is not, it's not that it's like we don't like his personality. We just, like, we don't like this, we don't like that. We don't like that he's a creep. Like the whole time that he's out.
He was weird.
If he ends up on a night out with us, he spends the entire time just staring at me up and down and saying creepy ass stuff to the girls. And even in work, because he worked with us as well, he had said some creepy stuff to my flatmate about, like, how can I even say? It's not even appropriate to say.
No.
So it was so bad that I can't even say it.
It was not appropriate for the workplace, but not even for anything that is like outside work. It was just stuff that you just don't go and say to people.
Like, I would literally be bleeped if I said it. So there's no point in saying it.
It was just bad.
It was just so bad. But it wasn't even one thing. It was like 3 different things.
It was like different like
levels.
Yeah.
No, it was the same night I'm on about. It was 3 different things on 3 different levels. It was like something and then escalated to another thing and then escalated and it just over the top finished it off, if you know what I mean. From his name, Mr. Stank. That
It doesn't have a pleasant smell. Let's say it nicely.
He doesn't use soap.
He has a particular scent
that isn't quite pleasant to the nose. But it wasn't even that like he was trying to get rid of it. And
no. He admit that he doesn't
use
take any
soap.
showers or things like that.
It was of choice, but it wasn't for like any like valid reason. Like it wasn't like religion.
Oh no! It
was just choice. It was. I think their family like was like rationing water or something. They were like, we want to save water and we don't want to use soap, or they shared a small amount of soap, or they could only shower. But it was something like that.
He shaved himself at work.
He shaved at work
before the overnight. I just remember that I was the manager in that overnight, and he shaved at work and left all of his hair all over the sink and the male bathroom.
Right, that's another level to do at home, but it's a whole new spectrum to do it at work.
Like, why?
Like, I hate when there's beard hair in the sink, let alone if I'm finding it in work as well.
Disgusting. It's not even yours. Like, it's not the person that you live with, or like, it's just like some random. We didn't know at first it was him, but apparently, like, people traced it back because his face was like really red. So when someone is just shaved right away,
he must have used anything if his face was all red.
Not just water. I think.
The poor face.
And probably like the soap, like the hand soap, I would say.
That shit is not good for the face.
No. And so that is the kind of person he is. And I don't usually judge people from their body smell because
you don't know the situation, but we knew the situation. We knew the background.
I don't know, a hormonal problem, or like you just sweat a lot because like in an environment like McDonald's, it can
Everyone's
happen.
a bit sweaty.
Yeah.
Bring deodorant. Use it regularly. But we knew the backstory, and we were allowed to be grossed out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's valid.
Going back to Mr.Doughnut, he still tries. Like literally the day I left the job, I sent a kind of like nice message to all of my manager colleagues, we can say that, and saying like, thank you for all this time together.
Actually, before that, I had left the group chat.
He didn't even say anything.
And
he just started talking about...
what did I even say?
It was like, thank you guys for like this time together. It's not always been like the best time, but like peace out or something like that.
Yeah, it was like something weird. Like it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't like a touching message.
Yeah, it wasn't a touching message. It was like, it's been great with some years. Others, not so much. Peace out. Bye. It was like something
I
like
just
that.
left. I tried to be more sentimental and be like,
But
blah,
then
blah, blah.
Mr.Doughnut, he ignored it, and then he was taking over my like responsibility.
Yeah.
And he had just copied and pasted all my emails and
I just
changed
signed
like
it,
the
yeah.
dates and the name and stuff like that, and was using my past stuff. And then he goes into the chat. I only knew this because Val was still in the chat. And after my message, and I think the BM or something said something or whatever, and then he just goes, "Hey guys," and then talks about my position that he had then taken over and being like, "Can you guys do this? Blah 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 blah."
And we were all like, what do you want? But the thing is, like, at that point, he was not even responsible for that.
No.
He just put that
He
on
took it.
himself. He just decided
As soon
to do
as
that.
I said goodbye, he just took my like
Yeah.
responsibilities.
And also, I hate
he
when
wasn't
people
even a
like
manager
he
yet,
was.
Or no, he was just a manager.
Yeah, he was, but he was the classic like pick me girl, just like male version. He want everybody to be like, "Oh my god, you're so amazing!
You're
Oh
doing
my
so
god,
good."
you're so... Nobody cared.
He would do shit at home
Literally.
and stay on without
Like-
getting paid and do all
like,
this extra
Oh
work.
my god, you're
and-
so amazing.
And then he would be like, "Why is nobody favoring me? I do all this extra stuff." And we're
Nobody
like,
asked you.
"Nobody's asking you. Nobody's paying you. Go the hell home."
And also, one thing that I don't think he realized in McDonald's is nobody cares about you. Like,
Honestly,
just do your
and they
bit.
don't care what you do outside of work if you're putting extra work in outside of the hours and not
They will
getting
be
paid
like,
for it.
nobody asked you.
Who cares? Nobody cares. Honestly, they do not
Nobody
care.
asked
They
you.
don't pay attention. They don't notice these things.
So he would be like, "Oh my god, I'm so good. Look what I'm doing." Blah blah blah, and nobody cared. So you would get
Really mad.
quite mad because nobody
Why does everyone hate me? Nobody cares enough.
to hate
Like
you.
it was just because nobody gave him special attention for that extra work he was doing, and then he would be like, "Everyone hates me."
Baby Mr.Doughnut. He's done quite the same thing when I left.
Yeah. Then you done your message,
And
and it was all
he
heartfelt.
literally, everybody was like, "Oh, we're gonna miss you," blah blah blah. Everything was being so nice. Right? He texted was like, "Oh, you'll be missed, Val." And literally 30 seconds after, he just sends like a whole like plan.
Basically the same of after
Yeah,
mine
like-
of his like the responsibility he took from me.
He just
done
like
that
sent a
again.
whole thing.
At least she got a "we'll miss you." I didn't even get a
Well,
bye.
that says it all. Literally nobody asked. I was the only one.
Shows you how much the managers hated me. Do you want to say about what the wedding thing?
Oh yeah. Now everything is uncovered.
If you want to hear the rest of that story, then watch our next video. Also like, comment, and share. Lots of love. Peace out.
And let us know
Bye.
if you got Mr.Doughnut. If you know a Mr.Doughnut.
I really want a donut now.
I want to know if they know a Mr.Doughnut in their life. Because
Yeah.
I think it's a shareable experience having a Mr.Doughnut
Not
or
to
a
the
Miss Doughnut.
detail, obviously, but the general idea.
Yeah.
A pain in your backside, basically. Let us know. Can we get Krispy Kremes?